Hello, everybody. It's King of the Bootleggers Prohibition Trivia. It's Chris Denman alongside my friend Matt Longaville from Barkeep right here in St. Louis, Missouri. But it's not about St. Louis today. It's about Washington, D.C. And because it's about Washington, D.C., we have our friend comedian Herbie Gill joining. How are you, Herbie? Good to see you, man.
I'm very good. I'm very jealous of the mask reveal that you had. Like it came
Well,
out like, oh wow, that's awesome.
I'm gonna be honest. It's a pretty great mask. It's custom made. I'll get into more of that in just a second. As soon as I tell everybody, if you're 21, scram after you hit share into your parents' feeds. No one under 21 should be drinking. We all know that. Herbie has been a bar professional along with a comedian, and Matt operates Barkeep, so he doesn't want any under 21 folks in. So obviously George Remus doesn't want you hanging out doing the under 21 stuff. And also, whenever we get going here, our opinions don't necessarily represent George Remus, King of the Bootleggers, trivia, any of that stuff. So we're going to rock and roll. Again, my name is Chris Denman. We do this every Friday at 6 p.m. Central. We get to bring fun guests like Herbie in. We do some Prohibition trivia. We drink cocktails. We have fun, and it's going to be a great time. Real quick, Matt Longaville from Barkeep US. Excuse me, sir. What's new in your world? I believe you've been working on some things, and we'll tell the people what's been happening with you, sir. Obviously, you serve George Remus at your events, but what else is going on?
Yeah, we launched a cocktail delivery service this week, so that's fun. I've got a newfound appreciation for our delivery drivers. That's definitely not an easy thing to do. Certainly not during a pandemic, right? So yeah, if you're ordering food or drinks from people, make sure you hook them up fat. They're working hard.
I'm proud of you. Herbie, you were admiring my mask, I believe. There's a reveal.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we can go solo on that. Oh, hang on. Now there are ties, and I've got custom stitching and all that good stuff. So I just wanted to shout out my friend and guest of our virtual happy hour a few weeks ago. She was in a band called Houndmouth. She's a singer. Her name's Katie Tupin, and she's the only person I know that's been on Letterman, has had a #1 Billboard hit, and is currently sending out custom masks free to healthcare professionals. And
that's really cool.
Right, Herbie, if you have those credits, you're not supposed to do nice things for people, right?
But I think if you have those credits, you're more obligated to do nice things for people. There's more people. Like, I could be an obscure douchebag all I want because nobody's heard of me before. So it's like, as soon as I get on something, I'm gonna have to send somebody a gift basket of some sort. So.
Okay, well, you're a better person than me. I didn't need you to flaunt that in my face 3 seconds into the show.
Well, I gotta get you this gift basket first, so it's fine. You already offered up a T-shirt, and I'm still loving that coming by.
Well, let's have you model the T-shirt that we're currently selling. You can get it at buyjack.com under the We Are Live official merchandise.
I don't know if I'm high enough. I even don't want to put this T-shirt on before because this one is doing it a horrible injustice.
So let's do it, Matt, the producer. If you want to try, support all bartenders. Herbie can model that. You know what we're doing it for? We're doing it for the United States Bar Guild, the USBG. It's only $20. You can order it from buyjack.com. We'll put the link in the comments. Herbie, you're a great model. I want to give you some love.
You know, it's I'm glad the quarantine happened, so I'm able to finally be recognized for my modeling skills. You know, it's been a long time coming. So
I agree.
Thank you for finally recognizing natural talent. It's about time.
So those shirts, 100% of the proceeds go to the USBG. And speaking of bartenders, we're going to highlight 3 different cocktail craftspeople on the show tonight. There's some beverage directors, an owner of a bar. We've got video cocktails to show off, but we are doing trivia as well. So I figured we'd start off with a couple questions, and then in the comments, if you haven't hit share yet, I'm very disappointed in you. That's very rude that you haven't shared this stream yet. But in the comments, answer. You can see if you can beat Herbie. You can see if you can beat Matt, and we'll work out some things. We actually give away prizes each week, too, just for participation. So you can answer 20 questions wrong, and we're still going to hook some people up with prizes. So we're making that happen. Matt, you laugh like you've missed a lot of questions in these.
Yeah, I'm hoping my wife takes the dogs on the evening walk here pretty quick, so she doesn't get upset at me for being bad at trivia.
Herbie, you're a
That
stand-up
happens
comic.
every week.
That does. Herbie, you're a stand-up comic. You're a veteran in the DC scene. Worst reaction a crowd member has ever given you?
Oh man, there's been so many. Uh, uh, I definitely have fielded somebody vomiting before. We found out later it was unrelated, but comics kind of self-centered, so we're just like, no, it had to be me. It was all
Right.
about me. I must have done that somewhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of takes the cake because usually you have to. I mean, well, she gave the cake, I suppose, but
Mm.
it's one of those things where it's like you don't know what to do in the moment, but you kind of have to just sort of plow through it and mention it or something like that. It's just like, okay, well, hey, if you like that one, you're gonna love this one, and just hope nobody spews. So
Yeah. Matt,
that's the one that kind of sticks out in my head.
I'd say that's a good answer. I was going to say, yeah, the self-centered comic is thinking like, if that setup was just a little bit better, she wouldn't have vomited, right? Like that's how.
Oh yeah, I was going through it. I'm like, I hope she doesn't die because then I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, I killed, and it's just the worst
Mm,
headline in the world for
mm,
yourself.
mm, mm.
But I'd still use it.
We all know about working through tough times. I do it every week, trying to watch Matt answer these questions. King of the Bootleggers Trivia. So if you're in the comments, be sure to drop an answer. Let us know where you're watching from. Hopefully, we're seeing some great folks from DC commenting, having some fun as we want to raise some awareness for DC bartenders and the folks that are pouring these George Remus drinks on the regular. You guys ready for a couple questions? You want to get in on this, Herbie?
Yeah, sure. Do I have to type anything in because I'm just doing it through my phone? So
No. We're just gonna ask. This is a one-on-one situation. So if you mess
yeah,
up, you just look bad in front of the people tuning in, and Matt and
yeah. I'm
myself.
gonna blame Matt's wife and dogs. So
Thank you. I've been wanting to say something about that for a couple weeks.
She just left, so we're good.
All right, so we got Matt Longaville from Barkeep US, and we have our friend Herbie Gill, comic from Washington D.C. First question: George Remus was associated with a Washington D.C. house where federal liquor withdrawal permits could be obtained. What was the name of that house? We've got three options. Herbie, Matt, you can go with A, Little Green House on K Street; B, Red Shutter's house on H Street; C, the White House. And Herbie, you're the guest. We're gonna let you go first. I can tell you're pumped.
I'd want to say the White House, but for some reason it doesn't seem to ring true to me. I'm gonna go with B, Red Shutter's house.
Going with B, Red Shutter's house. Matt Longaville, how familiar are you with Washington D.C. and the streets that were mentioned?
I've been visited a few times. My best friend lives in Annapolis, so I get out there about once a year. But as far as street names, I have no idea. I think it would be pretty cool if the answer was the White House, and I have no idea what the answer is. So I'm going to guess A.
Going with A, Little Greenhouse on K Street. First, let's check the comments. Steve is questioning. He thinks B. Jeff says C. Andrew says A. Janet says C. Scott says A. Ashley says C. Good stuff all around. Alan says B. And we got some folks watching from Maryland, from Chicago. All kinds of fun stuff. Great. Oh, Missouri's in there. Look out. Chicago Prohibition Tours checking in. But hey, we've got an answer to get to. Matt, you were correct. A, Little Green House on K Street, located at K Street in Washington, D.C. It was a well-known place where bootleggers could get federal liquor withdrawal permits. Okay. Herbie, you feel okay after that misstep?
Yeah. I mean, I like how you played up the suspense and everything like that. That made me all palpitating. It was like, oh my god, no, I hope I got it right. So
Hey,
now I'm all agita and stuff like that. So I'll recover. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, take it easy. Herbie modeled our support all bartenders shirt earlier. which you can get, which we need to drop a link in the comments at some point. Herbie, you look like you're rocking a shirt that's fitting for the evening. May we see it in a full screen?
Okay, yeah. This shirt says, "Call me old-fashioned." This was a gift from somebody I worked in a bar with, and it's comfortable and nice enough to sleep in. But it definitely looks like a tourist shirt. It might as well just say "Mug Me" on the front of it. But it is comfortable enough to sleep in. And I have so many bar shirts that I just sort of rock them around the house all the time. Like I have a Russell's Reserve shirt that probably would have looked a little bit more professional than this, but it was dirty. So what are you going to do? So, but yeah,
Call me old-fashioned. I love it.
And I'm a bourbon guy, so that works out well for me as well.
Get him a bottle of Remus. Matt, send him a bottle of Remus. I don't know how that works.
Yes, please. Yeah. If you're trying to unload a case, it will find a good home. I promise you. Wow, that's a bottle. That looks great,
doesn't it? That's a.
Oh
nice
yeah,
one.
man. I like it. That would be super awesome. I absolutely love bourbon. I will be drinking some immediately after this. So
Perfect. Let's go to our next question. And again, let us know in the comments what you think the question is. We'll get to those throughout the program. Second question. While George Remus was the king of the bootleggers, another mysterious bootlegger who sold liquor to 80% of Congress, who would have ever thought that? In Washington, D.C., including those who voted for Prohibition, was known by what name? I love that we are always the same. A, the milkman. B, the man in the green hat. C, the librarian. One more time for the people at home, real quick. While George Remus was the king of the bootleggers, another mysterious bootlegger who sold liquor to 80% of Congress in Washington, D.C., including those who voted for Prohibition, was known by what name? Matt, you got the last question right. We'll give you the honors for your first guest. What do you have?
The milkman. Hey.
That's the most fun answer. I don't know if it's right, but what do you have, Herbie?
for some reason, I feel like I've heard the man in the green hat, so I'm gonna go with B because B's been successful. But like, yeah, I'm gonna go with B.
It's ominous, isn't it? The man in the green hat.
Mhm.
Let's see what this is. So we got a few people answering here. We got Janet says C, Scott says A, Ashley C, David C, Ashley B, Janet C. Whew. So I need to talk to the King of the Bootleggers staff on this. I don't know how I feel about this answer. The answer is B and C.
What?
We're going to have a talk about this. I feel like I've duped you, but you get half a point, Herbie. So, Matt, I would award you a bravery point because the milkman that's a sweet, like, criminal name. Like, I do like that. Answer
Yeah.
B and C. His nickname was the man in the green hat, which is how congressmen could identify him. But a certain congressman who stored his illicit purchases on a hidden bookshelf in his office called him the librarian. And when he wanted to place an order, would say, "I could use some new reading material." So clever, Congressman. So clever. I like that. I do like that
some
there's
new
a story
reading
there.
material. I'm like, oh yeah, well, I'd love to give you some reading material, but I can't because I'm too busy delivering all this alcohol.
Oh,
He
perfect.
didn't last for.
Yeah, it didn't work out for them. Okay, so through two, we're seeing that it's going to be a tough evening. Herbie, you've faced crowds, you've done comedy for 20 years, you've bartended for a long time as well. Does this rank in your top 3 most stressful moments that you've faced in your career?
No.
Oh, again, an
No,
earnest answer.
it's not
from
stressful. This is fun. It's true. I don't know what happens when you lose yet, but that's
Oh.
probably the best because it might be like they kill your pets or something like that. That would suck.
We're not.
Don't worry about losing, Herbie. That's why I'm here. All of our guests are always guaranteed to win. Part of my contract.
That's how it works. Yes. And no, we're not a fraternity in 1994. So we won't be killing any pets on the show. Okay. So we got some folks tuned in. Chicago Prohibition Tours. When he got kicked out of Congress, he went to the Senate. Nice. Jeff letting us know we were tricked. Also an amazing gin out there by that name, says Scott, as in referring to the man in the green hat. Okay, I like this. Let's get to some cocktails. Herbie, again, this is you're being sprung these questions, but give me your opinion, I guess, on the DC either cocktail scene or just nightlife scene for those of us who aren't just going to hang out at the monuments and the touristy places. You're a comic. I'm sure you know a lot of very, very, I guess, just good time places to hang out at. What do you feel about DC overall as just a place to relax and see some entertainment and have a cocktail?
Beautiful town. Whenever we actually get to be back out there again, it been like the Big Hunt always had some great shows and also great atmosphere, a great place to drink. Up in around I think it was DuPont Circle where you're gonna have a lot of bars, a lot of good nightlife going on. On H Street, a little bit behind Union Station, they had a whole other complete corridor redone, and U Street is also a really great spot to go to. Adams Morgan has tons of places, so there's always some it was always a bunch of different places to scratch that itch for entertainment or nightlife or drinking. Like if you wanted to go into, I remember back in the day they used to have this place called Palace of Wonders that I miss. It's gone now, but it just had a bunch of sideshow things, like a bunch of freak show posters
Yeah.
and things like that. And the last place I went to that was a lot of fun that I didn't see before was H Street Arcade, which is it has like a dive bar feel, but then it has all these old school arcade games that you used to love back before you could drink. So that's always a fun place to go to.
Nostalgic, yeah.
Yeah, there's literally every type of place you can go to have a good drinking experience in DC, and it's a good city for it. So I very much enjoy when I'm getting to go out there.
Yeah, we're looking
Highly
forward to that.
recommended.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll have to get that rocking again when it's time. Matt, you make cocktails here in St. Louis. You ready for our first cocktail from an establishment in DC?
Yeah, can't wait to see it.
Absolutely. It's George Remus, king of the Bootleggers Prohibition Trivia. Along with trivia, we get to hang out with fun people like Herbie Gill, who's a comic in DC, but also we showcase bartenders, beverage directors, owners of establishments in different cities. Let's see our first cocktail of the evening from Washington, D.C.
Hi everybody, I'm Jay from Washington, D.C., and I'll be building today's quarantine cocktail with you. Today we're going to do a apple bourbon sour made with George Remus bourbon. We'll also use egg white, apple juice, vanilla simple syrup, lemon juice, and apple and cherry for garnish. First thing you want to do is take your egg white and crack it on whatever you're going to use, whether that be a Boston shaker, or in my case, a protein shaker. And separate the yolk and white by tossing it back and forth between the shell. Then go ahead and do a 1/2 ounce of lemon juice, a full ounce of apple juice, a 1/2 ounce of vanilla simple syrup, 2 ounces of George Remus bourbon, and then you want to go ahead and dry shake everything in your shaker to get it nice. Yeah. Grab whatever you can to strain it into your glass. And garnish with a cherry and a few apple slices. And you have a apple bourbon sour.
apple bourbon sour with the George Remus. Hello, hello. I'm into that. I appreciate that cocktail. Matt, is that Barkeep US approved?
Oh, absolutely. That was a classy quarantine cocktail. Did you notice the kids' apple juice?
Yes.
Like
Hey,
that.
you got to make do.
Yes, that's awesome. It's one of my favorite ingredients I've seen over the last month or so since we've started doing these. That was fantastic.
I'm down with that for sure. Herbie approves, it looks like.
Yeah, I noticed the kid, so it's like I thought that was
Hey,
going to be the special thing. Like the kid brought the apple juice, but yeah, that apple juice or apple juice concentrate is one of the best things that you could use for cocktails, and it's incredibly underrated as far as an ingredient. One of the things I like about that video is the fact that he actually showed people how to do the egg white, because a lot of times egg white's really intimidating for people to use as an ingredient for thickening purposes. So just showing them do that, it doesn't have to be that hard. So
that's a
good, big up to him.
That's a wonderful point too, and it makes the drink. I don't know. I'm all about wasting more time in this endless suck of time that we're in. It's like, hey, it's one more ingredient that I don't have to go stare at a wall. Uh, but excellent point, Herbie, because that absolutely does. It tightens up the presentation of the drink. It looks great. So I wanted to shout out our mutual friend who made Herbie possible tonight. I'm sure she's talking smack in the comments or just not even paying attention. Mia Jackson, comedian, hooked this up, and I wanted to share a story real quick too. I was like, oh my gosh, I love Mia, and I don't mean to name drop, but our buddy Roy Wood Jr. hooked us up, and then Herbie's like, I've known Roy for 20 years, dude.
Yeah, comedy is a small community, and we all just ended up knowing each other, and those happen to be two of my favorite people on the planet. And aside from that, both amazing comics. So if you all get a chance to see Mia Jackson or Roy Wood Jr., who's on a Daily Show all the time, make sure you go see them. They're both fantastic and some of the best comics you'll see working.
Absolutely, and they connect me to great people. So shout out to you, Herbie, as well.
Oh, well, I'll let them know.
Matt, you ready for some more questions? I'm sure our commenters are. If people want to keep playing along in the comments, and again, we do. If you're sharing, if you're just answering, if you're a part of the fun, we give away 2 prizes for every show, and we contact you after the show. So be sure to share. Be sure to let people know you're having a good time in the comments. Our third question of the evening. Here we go, fellas. The historic Gaslight Club in Washington, D.C. was a speakeasy that could only be accessed by doing what? One more time. The historic Gaslight Club in Washington, D.C. was a speakeasy that could only be accessed by doing what? A, pressing a distinctive red brick on the nearby fireplace. B, removing F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby off of the bookshelf. C, visiting the men's room and turning a faucet handle. Okay. What's it going to be? I believe Herbie got half a question right last time, so we'll let you take the honors, sir.
I think it's C. That's the answer that I would want it to be the most. And although the red brick thing seems cool too, it seems like it'd be a little bit problematic. And removing the Great Gatsby, I'd want to put it in to have it be accessed. So C. I'm going to go with C.
Okay, so we got our friend Herbie going with C, and then what about Matt Longaville with your answer?
I'm going to go A.
A, and that answer is pressing a distinctive red brick on the nearby fireplace. Let us know in the comments what you think the answer is. And if you're not cheating, the answer is C. Visiting the men's room and turning a faucet handle. That is all Herbie, and I'll tell you about it. Visiting the men's room and turning a faucet handle. Speakeasy was on the 3rd floor, and its ingenious secret location was found out on March 4th, 1925, when federal agents raided the club. The secret entrance was located in the men's room and could only be entered when the patron turned a faucet handle, which opened a hidden door. All right, that's pretty clever. It's really interesting to hear about all the things people went to drink and the just debacle that was Prohibition, but we got King of the Bootleggers, George Remus, out of it. So that's a bunch of good stories. Let's keep it moving. If you're having fun in the comments, answer along with us. On August 14th, 1832, Washington, D.C. implemented a short-lived prohibition. Why did lawmakers do so? Okay, on August 14th, 1832, Washington, D.C. implemented a short-lived prohibition. Why did lawmakers do so? A cholera epidemic. B, as part of a deal to get the Tariff Act of 1832 passed. C, President Andrew Jackson wanted all the booze for himself. Herbie, what do we have? A, B, or C?
I think A and B are both likely, but I'm going to choose C because Andrew Jackson is one of the greatest historical bastards of all time. So it actually makes sense that would be the answer. I'm going with C all the way.
Okay, we got Herbie going with C, and I was curious how that would go, and man, what a great backing of your answer, Matt.
I'm gonna go with B just because I don't want to throw out the idea of prohibition during epidemic or pandemic.
Look at Matt, you're so mindful.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Let us know in the comments. I'm actually going to check that out right now to see what the folks watching at home think about this. If I can pull this up. Of course, it's freezing up here. We'll get it going. We've got Monica saying C. Ashley says A. David says C. Alan says B. Chris says B. Several others weighing in with B. Let's keep this thing moving. I'm going to tell you, Alan thinks Matt has a great point. It doesn't matter because you're both wrong. It's a cholera epidemic. The ban, ordered by the D.C. Board of Health, came as a cholera epidemic threatened people across the city. Timely. Best quarantine meal you've had, Herbie? Have you made anything weird, or has it just been the go-tos? I find myself just going with comfort food, just trashing my body with hamburgers and homemade pizzas and stuff.
It really does depend. I've been with my girlfriend and her kid for most of this, so I haven't had to suffer a great deal, but she made some shrimp scampi with me the other day. That was one of the greatest things I've ever had in my life. If I could have it every day, I would. It was amazing. And then I've also done the quick and easy Band-Aid special of rolling a piece of cheese up into a slice of turkey and eating it. So I'm a man pleased by simple means.
Herbie's a survivor. Matt, what about you? You brined a ham for Easter.
Yeah, that was a good experience. Every time you do something, it's never going to come out how you want it. Every Saturday we try and support a local restaurant by getting takeout. So it's kind of whatever we had last Saturday. So last Saturday we had breakfast sandwiches from our place that we normally get them at the farmer's market on Saturday morning. It's like that. What we look forward to is things that we used to eat all the time, and now it's a treat, which I was spoiled. I had a lot of treats.
I was going to say, I don't know, my shirt's kind of tight, but I didn't have a six-pack before this all started, so I'm right there with you. So we've got trivia happening. People are commenting, and let us know in the comments your favorite quarantine meal that you've had. And if you're in D.C. and we are highlighting some great places, as we did just a bit ago, be sure to support them if they're still able to sell curbside and help those out that are still able to work and support those businesses around you. Herbie, you have anybody to shout out? You got any favorite bars or restaurants that are doing curbside?
Geez, I don't know. I haven't had to have any curbside stuff. I've kind of just been trying to stock up and save my money.
Smart.
Just because I don't know how long I'm gonna be out of this thing. But I mean, I have a few tips. Go to places that are close by, because you have no idea the amount of delivery time and space that needs to be done for the delivery to come to you quickly. And whoever you get from, let's make sure you tip heavy, tip often, because these are what are keeping people around. So even if it's close and it's something that you never thought of going to before, give that a shot.
Listen, okay, we've got comedian Herbie, but from now on, you're Professor Herbie. You're dropping knowledge there. I appreciate this. This is like, dang, man,
Yes.
Herbie's good.
The University of Phoenix will be very pleased to hear that.
That's what I like to hear. Good for you, Herbie. Let's get another question in before we go to our next cocktail feature. Here we go. It's Prohibition Trivia here on King of the Bootleggers, thanks to George Remus. Which is the first post-Prohibition distillery in Washington, D.C.? One more time. Which is the first post-Prohibition distillery in Washington, D.C.? A, New Columbia Distillers. B, Capitol Distillery. C, none of the above. If they say all three are correct, I'm going to be really upset.
A and B are the same thing.
Okay, so we've got, let's go with Matt. What do you think? What do you think this time around?
None of the above. It's got to be there for a reason, right?
That's how I used to take tests. How about you, Herbie?
I would have taken none of the above, but just for play's sake, I'm going to go with A, New Columbia Distillery.
Well, I'm sure people in the comments are dropping some good answers. Let's check that out in just a moment. But first, let's celebrate Herbie being correct because it's A. That's right. New Columbia.
Nice.
Calm down. New Columbia Distillers, whose parent company is now our friends at MGP, are the makers of Green Hat Gin. They built the first post-Prohibition distillery in D.C. in 2011 and continue to craft their premium gins there to this day. Get yourself some Green Hat Gin. You know it.
Way to call back all the other questions, too. Green Hat. Man, it's all getting meta. He was angry before, but I think it's because he chose B.
That's probably what's happening. I'll tell you what, I don't know if there's been a more excitable group of guys put together in this three. There's so much energy on this thing. I honestly think it's just like, wow, those are some very energetic turtles that we have working. All three of us, we're just like, you know what? If something happens, cool. If not, also cool. It's not a big deal. I like the energy. I'm not complaining. So we got that right. So again, we're going to give away a couple prizes, but it is this show is brought to you because of George Remus, and we do cocktails on this. We feature bars in different cities. We hope to raise some support, some awareness for these cocktails and the wonderful establishments they come from. Let's check out our next DC cocktail. No, that's not a cocktail. That's a question.
That was my bad. Sorry. One moment.
Hi, my name is Nadi. I'm here on behalf of the Kaya Group, and today we're going to use George Remus bourbon to make two variations of a Manhattan. We'll do the classic first, and then we'll show you how to do one with Amaro. First, you want to fill your glass, and then it's 2 dashes of Ango, 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, and then you'll do 2 ounces of the Remus bourbon. Then discard your ice. You want to strain into whatever glass you're using. And garnish with a cherry. The other Manhattan we're going to make is a play on a black Manhattan. So it is a 1/2 ounce of sweet vermouth, 1 ounce of Zucca. If you can't find Zucca, you can use Averna. ounce and a half of Remus bourbon. Thank you for watching, and if you would like to help support some of our displaced staff during these trying times, you can contribute to Dakaya Group's GoFundMe. And again, thank you for watching and cheers.
That was a great. You talk about production value on that. We literally own a studio. I'm like, I don't know if we can bring that kind of production to it. I don't know if I can hear Herbie. We'll get him locked in.
Oh, I'm
Herbie?
here.
Oh, you're there. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
It. Matt's here. Herbie's here. Big shout out to all of our cocktail makers in DC this evening. Thank you for tuning in on that. Also, shout out to the people in YouTube land. We've got some folks watching in Brazil and other places around the world. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're just tuning in, Herbie Gill, he's a comedian in Washington, D.C. My name's Chris Denman. I do a show called We Are Live. You can check that out. We do podcasts, virtual happy hours, all kinds of fun guests. And Matt Longaville, he's from Barkeep US, and we do this every single Friday at 6 p.m. Central Time, as we're based in St. Louis, Missouri. We're getting some requests. Someone in the comments asked to do a George Remus question. So I'll ask this simple one, and you comment, and I'll pick one of the commenters at the end of the show if you answer this question. Give me one word to describe George Remus, and it can either be the man or the bourbon that's brought this to you today. So describe with one word and type in George Remus and then one word, and I'll pick one of you as one of our two winners for tonight. The other we'll do for a participation and sharing award, and we'll make that happen. So one word, describe George Remus in the comments. It can be the drink or the man. So there you go. There's your question, and you can answer for yourself. So I appreciate all that about the people watching. We've got two questions left, and we were going to feature a third cocktail. I think we had a technical issue on the video, so we'll just give all of our establishment shout-outs at the end of the show to make up for that. We've got two questions left. Herbie, are you proud of your performance so far on the short notice booking to jump on King of the Bootleggers?
Oh, yeah, man, this has been a blast. I'm still very happy to be on here, and I'm talking about bourbon and bartending, which are two things I'm good with, too. So hopefully I can just add a little, I hope I'm doing a good enough job to make sure that the show keeps going and everything.
Are you kidding me? Matt, I'm thinking Herbie, you ever see like a quarterback who's still got it, who's been through the ringer, and he's just hanging in the pocket, and young defensive end coming after him, and he just kind of, just a little step to the left. I feel like that's how Herbie's handling this entire show. This guy's
I'm getting a foodie. That's nice.
He's rocking it out, man. So Herbie, you're doing great, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
The famous Redskins quarterback in the 90s, was it Mark Rippon?
Oh, well, Mark Rippon reference. Yeah. So yes, Mark Rippon, please. Herbie, I don't know how much into DC football you are, but I know a little bit about Mark Rippon. It's hilarious.
Well, I hate football now because I was pretty into the Redskins for a while. I think they're all just like Mark Rippon's just on. I think last time I saw him was on the Eastern Motors commercial, which all the DC people will probably get.
That's so great. He was a backup quarterback that won the Super Bowl with the Redskins. He actually came and played for the St. Louis Rams briefly, too. So we got a little taste of him in St. Louis as well.
Of course he did.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to Mark Rippon. I hope.
Shout out to Mark Rippon.
Yeah.
I hope you're all right.
We can. Well, you can't toast DC without toasting Mark Rippon. That's a rule that I've.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
The George Remus higher-ups have made sure to let me know about that. They're like, listen, you go hard on the Mark Rippon talk right towards the end of the show, okay? Give me a little scene. We've had some fun times with. We had the Stanley Cup here not too long ago, we've had some World Series wins, and we lived through a Super Bowl win. Was the World Series celebration memorable this past year, Herbie, in DC?
It was such a big thing because it's like DC has always had this long-standing curse. Like we were just cursed for sports, and it was just we would always get really close to it, and it never happened. And when the Caps won, it was such a huge deal because we could never get past Pittsburgh. And as soon as they got past Pittsburgh, it's like, oh, there's nothing standing in the way. And then right after that, just have to have both the Cavs victory and the Nats victory happen. It was just like just feeling like the curse is over was such a good thing. And then you're like, hey, maybe the Wizards. Nope. Okay, that's fine. We'll pick our lane. Maybe the Reds. You know what? We're just happy to be out.
No,
so
just you've got that.
That Nats team was incredible.
It was
dope, but it's like it was one of those things where it's like you've been teased with it for so long, you're almost afraid to have hope, or you're just like, maybe not. Like I still remember that. Like I'm a huge basketball fan. I still remember the Wizards and Cavs game where like LeBron just went insane in the last minute of that game. And then won it on a shot. So it was like that was the last time I'm like, we're gonna do it. Oh, no, we're not.
I was in DC for the NLCS this year because they played the Cardinals, and it was terrible for us for being a Cardinal fan. We almost got no hit 2 games at home, and I think we got beat like 9-1 in Game 3. I had tickets for Game 4, and I was like, I'm going home early. I hate to say that. I don't want to admit that, but I was sick. We were done. So I went home early, sold my ticket to Game 4, and then they beat the Astros. Thank God.
Yeah. Are the Astros the only? I shouldn't even say it, but boy, are they? They're lucky.
They're screwed.
Well, I don't know. I feel like the owner of the Astros, if you're painting him as a fictitious supervillain, he's like, yes, pandemic, yes, they'll all forget. Like it's what that's if you were to make a fictitious, non-existent character of the Astros, a Mr. Burns type, that's what he would be thinking. So I don't know. I do want to shout out too. This is weird. So we based this show in St. Louis, but Remus is all over the place. But it is interesting. We got Bradley Beal and Max Scherzer rocking it in DC, and they're St. Louis guys. So that's our connection. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I don't know. I just wanted to talk about it for a minute. We've got 2 more questions. People can answer in the comments. Again, we're still going to give away some prizes. Maybe I should read a few of the comments after this next question. How many speakeasies, saloons, and social clubs did Washington, D.C. have during Prohibition? All right, this is a numbers one. A, 500. B, 3,000. C, 9,000. What do we have here?
I mean, the city's not that big.
No.
But speakeasies are tiny. I'm so confused.
What's your guess, Matt?
Like I would think it would just be A, because I'm like, yeah, you can't have 3,000, not unless you count somebody as a speakeasy. Like if I'm drinking a beer in my shirt, that doesn't necessarily count as a speakeasy, does it? I mean,
well
it's super exclusive. But I mean, like it can't be 3,000 or 9,000. So I'm thinking it's just 500.
Herbie's going with A, 500. What about you, Matt?
I mean, for the sake of competition, I can't go with that number, right?
No, you can do anything you want. It's wild here.
Let's go B.
Going with B, 3,000, and you took a chance and it paid off, Matt. 3,000 is
wow.
How is that possible? That doesn't seem right.
A lot of bathtub speakeasies. 2 people at a time.
Shirts.
Wow.
Let's see what's happening.
That's amazing.
That's right. Amazing. Like, what are these people doing? Like, I guess, like, if it's a 4-family flat, like, all 4 families have their own speakeasy, right?
Yeah.
That's how
somebody's got to bring some money in
to make it happen. Everybody's loving the cocktails. We have some people very surprised at the number of
Yeah,
3,000.
that's insane.
Yak Yak watching on YouTube chose 3,000. Shout out to Yak Yak. So thank you for
Wow.
checking out on YouTube. Yeah, Yak Yak's an expert in that. One more question, and then we're going to wrap it up here on King of the Bootleggers Trivia. Before we get to that, Herbie, you're a comedian. Is there a good place for people to follow you? You go with the Instagram, Twitter. What's happening there?
Yeah. If you want to follow me anywhere, it's just Herbie Gill. So it's Herbie Gill on Facebook, Herbie Gill on Instagram, Herbie Gill on Twitter. Um, I'm always posting something somewhere. I do some weird thing every year where I drink a bottle of bourbon and live tweet the Oscars. So
Get this
I think
man
it'd
some
be a
Remus.
fun. Yeah, I would love to do it with a bottle of Remus. I'll reach out and see you. I try to do a different one every year. This year was Four Roses, which was very, very nice to do. And yeah, I've been doing that every year, hoping to develop that into a show. I'm not really sure what's going on around the quarantine times, but I'm sure I'll pop up on some shows or something here and there. And yeah, just Herbie Gill. I'm easy to find.
Support
Unless
him.
you're Sally. I'm like,
Duck and Sally Mae. Support
Oh.
Herbie if you're in DC, or you can catch him at a show if he's out touring around as well. So be sure to do that. Matt, real quick, just for the folks watching, tell people what Barkeep does and how they can follow you.
So we do small and large scale events. We do a lot of work with George Remus and its sister brands, which are Till Vodka and Rossville Union Rye. Looking forward to working with the new Green Hat Gin when that comes our way here, hopefully soon. We go out and make fun, delicious cocktails, and as some people would say, spread the whiskey gospel. We spread the Remus gospel, and just try to make sure that everybody has a good time, no matter where we're at.
I love that. And King George himself on Facebook, George Remus Facebook account says, Herbie, our people will call your people.
that is awesome. I'm also my people, so I will be talking soon.
My phone is literally right here beside me. Thank you.
Oh, hey, I have a question for him, I think, too. Like, because I've been thinking about this for a while. I don't know if you guys were Boardwalk Empire fans, but that's the whole, like, they were talking about the whole bootlegging prohibition era, too. Wasn't Remus in that show?
Yes.
He was the guy that spoke in the third person all the time.
Correct. Yes, he was a larger-than-life character, and that actor, who I'm so embarrassed I don't know his name because he's just been in some of the.
He was
best...
the Yellow King after that in what's his name?
True Detective, season 1, and
yeah.
then he was brilliant in Barry as well on HBO.
Yeah, like he's a great character actor, but yeah, he was Remus.
His name is Glenn Fleshler.
Oh, thank you, producer Matt. Yeah. Glenn, and then there was one other that I'm thinking of that. Oh, he was in the Joker movie as well. So he's had a big decade. Yeah.
I know my girlfriend hates him because I keep asking her if she wants to make the flowers today, and she's just like, "Please leave me alone."
True Detective season. That's brilliant, by the way. Matt, I don't know if you saw True Detective season 1, but that's my favorite piece of television in the last, I don't know, maybe ever.
I got some time on my hands. I'll check that out.
Please
yeah,
do.
check that out. If you can, check out Watchmen too. That was like mind-blowing awesome.
Shout out to my dad, big fan of Watchmen. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was excellent. Made me like the source material better.
Man, again, I don't feel worthy to be in Herbie's presence, Professor Herbie, today.
We got nothing but time, man. Share content. That's what it's about.
That is what it's about. We've got one more question, and I'm going to give myself a shout out. Check out We Are Live Radio. We do podcasts. We work with Remus, MGP. We do a lot of different fun things. Each week we have some great guests on. We just did a virtual happy hour yesterday with one of the guys from Righteous Gemstones that was absurd, and we had a really fun time with Tony. So go back, check that out. You can subscribe on iTunes and all that good stuff. So King of the Bootleggers every Friday, 6 p.m. Central. Our final question. Make sure you're commenting, sharing, and you'll be considered for the prizes that we give away. And we'll do one more question. Here we go. Herbie, Matt, for everything. How many gallons of liquor did bootleggers supply to DC establishments each week during Prohibition? It's another numbers question. I like this. How many gallons of liquor did bootleggers supply to DC establishments each week during Prohibition? A, 22,000, B, 3,000, C, 77,000. Think about it, gentlemen.
Well, I mean,
C.
Who's the performer here? Matt Longaville. Wow, you had me on the edge of my seat.
I know. I thought the sound cut out. I'm like, oh.
Hey, I thought it was frozen.
Yes. There's A, 22,000, B, 3,000, C, 77,000. Matt says C. What does Herbie, comic from DC, say?
Man, I'm thinking like if there are 3,000 speakeasies, it's got to be 77. But just for sake of competition, I'll say 22,000.
I like the thought of there being 3,000 speakeasies, and they each only had that
Gives you
much.
hope.
They each, well, if the answer was B, which it's not, they would each just have that. Your answer, A, Professor Herbie to the rescue, 22,000. Matt, you put up a great fight today, man.
So they get seven gallons. Each speakeasy only gets 7 gallons a week. My math right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. They'd be happy for what they had. I mean, like, it's all illegal, so let's everybody get a sip and not be greedy.
I like that even in a trivia show, 100 years later or whatever it is, like the numbers are still probably skewed from like the gangster. He's like, yeah, that's how much we were delivering. Sure.
Yeah, sure.
We still rock it out. Again, you guys follow Herbie Gill on social media, wherever you're social mediaing. We do this show, King of the Bootleggers Prohibition Trivia, every Friday. I do want to give a quick shout out, Matt, to again to Barkeep, to your company, but we had 2 videos from our friends that made cocktails in DC. I'm going to tell you more about them, to plug them in the comments as well. We did miss out on a video, so I want to shout out Gina from Buffalo and Bergen. Is it Bergen or Bergen? Herbie?
I'm not sure. I think it's Virgin.
Okay, Buffalo and Bergen, Last Call, Suburbia, those are her bars. So shout out to Gina. Sorry we didn't get to see her cocktail today. Jay Junio, beverage director at Crimson Diner and Whiskey Bar, and Nali Kim, beverage director at Dakaya. So big shout out to all of our participants today. If you all can follow at George Remus Bourbon on Facebook, you can see this show each and every week, Friday nights, 6 o'clock Central. We make this happen, and we get to talk to fun people like Herbie. We get to highlight cocktails, and we get to support all bartenders. And we have people like Herbie to model the shirt whenever we do it. Despite him having a great shirt, we supply it. And we're going to drop the link in the comments if you guys want to purchase the shirt. Support all bartenders. 100% of the proceeds go to the USBG. And that is what we're aiming to do. You can order it through Buy Jack, and we'll make that happen in just a moment. We'll show it to you. Hey, bartenders supported by King of the Bootleggers. Thank you guys so much for supporting that. Get those shirts today. We're going to get Herbie one, and you all should order one as well. My name is Chris Denman. For Herbie Gill, Matt Longaville, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to pick a couple winners right after this. You'll hear from us. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back next week, 6 p.m. Central.